This movie had some of the funniest jokes and most heart-wrenching scenes.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best payoffs I've ever felt in a movie. The movie ends and it just... like, it just... Like, the last 10 years...
just settling.
Yeah. It was just like, I don't care where the series goes from now. The Infinity Saga...
Well, like, here's my thing. I love Peggy Carter. She's by far my favorite MCU character, and I did not fucking expect them to come for me like that. I was sobbing so fucking hard in the theater. My throat's like seizing because I'm trying to sob silently, so it's causing me physical pain. And then I have to put sunglasses on in the middle of the night to leave the theater.
Oh, man.
Oh, and now I'm crying again!
Well, it's because it's just such a beautiful...
it was great. We did get to see Tony Stark die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, happy with how they handled Cap.
Yeah.
I have a note somewhere that's... I'll allow it! And delightful.
Delightful.
There's just a lot to this movie. I don't know how we're going to break it down.
No. So, the first showing that I saw was an IMAX screen, but it was also 3D.
Okay.
And
I did not see this in 3D.
It, I feel, was worth it. Because it really helped you feel the sense of scale, because there wasn't a moment where there was something coming out.
Right.
It was all
That's nice.
in. It was all in, and I think the opening scenes with Tony Stark just made me feel so much worse for him, because the outside shots of the ship, they're in nothing. And you just feel like you're looking into nothing. The graphics, like the CGI in this movie, by far trumps everything that the cinematic MCU has thrown at us before.
Well, of course. It had to.
It had to, but like to the point where afterwards I was just like, holy crap, that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was.
You have to give it to the Russo brothers. They are amazing directors.
Yes. It's the scale of an undertaking like Infinity War and Endgame from a direction standpoint is insane.
Yeah.
You have all of these people and full casts of people, like not just one person, whose movies you haven't touched, that you have to bring in and keep the integrity of their stories and plot lines and characters within the framework of a larger piece that you're trying to make cohesive.
Right.
And it's just insane that they've been able to pull that off so well. Because it's not, 3 movies. It's 20 movies they had to smash into this one set.
Yeah. And they did such an amazing job of making every character feel important.
Yeah.
There wasn't a moment where I was like, oh, he's here.
Right. Right.
It was like, shit, he's here now. Yeah. Every character, even in the final giant CGI battle scene,
right,
which normally I'm not a big fan of.
Trademark,
which I'm normally not a big fan of. Like, that was my least favorite part of Infinity War.
Sure,
was the giant CGI battle against mindless, faceless masses. It was perfect in this movie. Like, the action was comprehensible.
Yeah,
every character got their showcase,
and really, the only one that I felt like, oh, there's the setup for that vignette, was Doctor Strange. And even that felt smoother the second viewing.
Yeah.
So the fact, like, it was so smooth to have one character pop to me out of 1.5 million characters. Right? I don't know. There are so many.
There are so many.
And they introduced new characters. We have Potts's Rescue suddenly show up.
Yeah.
They, maybe teased it a little with a helmet earlier this movie.
Yeah.
And that's all.
This movie was everything I was expecting and more. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew it was going to be the dramatic conclusion. I knew there was going to be knots tied in storylines.
Right.
I wasn't expecting such a large, beautiful bow.
Right.
Like,
right.
It just was so good. Can we go into the time travel?
Yes, because that worried me a lot.
A ton when I heard about it.
Uh-huh.
And they handled it masterfully.
Yes, they did a really good job.
Because in the movie, they tell you what it's not.
Yes.
And they don't tell you what it is.
Right.
And they explain enough of the science for you to just be like, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
sure, you sold me.
Like, I'm pretty sure when I watched it the first time, I watched it with my cousins, kind of like as a mini pre-wedding bachelor, but they had already, whatever. But it was the groomsmen and my cousins and me and my brother. Mm-hmm. The movie let out at 1 a.m.
Right.
We stayed up till 3 a.m. trying to like debating the movie, figuring out the time travel aspect of it. We came to the conclusion that it wasn't necessarily time travel, it was dimension jumping.
Yeah.
And so, with a hint of time travel.
Yeah, I mean, you're entering different times in the dimensions.
Different timelines in the dimensions, yeah. And it just, the way they explain it off, and the way they explain that it's not,
right,
worked.
Yeah, I agree.
It was, and it just set up such great showcase scenes. Like the whole New York segment just was amazing. And they answered so many questions. Like, where was the what's her name? Not Leader Supreme, Sorcerer Supreme. Where was she during that?
Own shit, bro. Yeah,
she was defending Bleecker Street. Duh. Like, just all these different things. It was so good.
Yeah, I was not even a little bit upset with the time travel element after it happened. Like, after seeing how they handled it.
Yeah.
Which... time travel has been used as a cop-out in so many things recently. Mm-hmm. I mean, cough, cough. Cursed child, cough. It's been sticking its little nose in places it does not belong. Yeah. And it's just been really kind of a bummer writing device these days. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you didn't like that thing we did? Let's do a different thing. Let's do it right now. It's fine. See? Time travel.
Yeah.
But this was not that at all.
Yeah.
It was this weird... It was clearly fan service, but it didn't feel out of place. It felt like they said, ooh, here's a really good plot device that the audience will actually love.
Yeah.
Where we got to see old scenes from different angles in a fun little...
I love that it opens with a I love them spinning around, and then the camera turns and it's like, and they're there.
Yeah.
And then it ends with the posing. It's like, I'll take that drink now. And they're like, I think Tony's like, all right, let's get our posing done. Let's pack up. Let's pack this up. And it actually just goes like you would cleaning up a scene.
I loved that sequence so much. The little Hail Hydra moment. Just the Cap versus Cap fight. Just every beat in it was so delightful.
So delightful. That's America's ass. Captain America swore so much in this movie. I loved it.
Listen, we've been over this. I've been on a real rocky basis with Cap since Civil War, because I just hated that movie so much. And, I felt those fangirl feels from... I saw the first Avenger in theaters 5 times. Mm-hmm. And by the first Avengers, I mean the Avengers movie, not Captain America, the first Avenger. That was a confusing way to state that.
Avengers 1, not the first Avenger.
I saw Marvel's The Avengers, which is the technical title, so many times in theaters. Right. I was a huge fangirl. I saw the first Avenger in theaters, but not 5 times.
Fair enough.
And I was, back there with this movie. Like I had forgiven that for Civil War. And I got what I wanted. He's essentially dead.
Yeah.
It's good enough for me.
Yeah,
I mean, the way they've opened this movie, they could technically and reasonably bring anybody back at any time now that they've opened the multiverse time travel concept.
Right.
But I don't feel like they're going to abuse that, so I feel fine.
So here's my theories on that. I think Cap's gone.
Yeah.
Cap's done. I have a feeling Stark could come back,
That's
but
fine.
as not necessarily as Tony Stark, but as a computer construct aiding Spider-Man or Morgan, you know, stuff like that. Like I could see him returning as the new Jarvis,
character.
Which by the way, Jarvis was in this movie.
Oh my god. If you watched Agent Carter, this is the movie for you.
Yes.
Because I watched Agent Carter, and I was so surprised. It was a little disorienting to have movie Howard with Jarvis.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you get over it real fast.
Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the only time that... So,
this is the
movie
only
characters
time that
go
an
to
MCU
TV
character has jumped into the movies.
Right, and so this, like, is that connection.
Because we had Coulson jump from movies to TV. We've had a few. We're gonna have a lot more.
I think Lady Sif was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point.
I think so, yeah.
But, like, it's always been movie to TV.
But I love Jarvis.
So good. I love it.
And then we've had... you know, Peggy Carter jump from movies to TV, back to movies, but she's been consistently everywhere.
Yeah, she's started in the movie.
Canceled.
Yeah. I loved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a lot of fun, but it got wonky towards the end.
I stopped watching.
But Agent Carter, I loved.
Yeah,
like, every episode was just
good.
a lovely episode.
Yeah.
And just the aesthetic of it.
I just wish they'd gotten one more season to wrap up instead of a can. Yeah. You know, like a final season order. No more after this. No more money. Finish your story.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, that happens so rarely.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the fact that... Now, this is a controversial point.
Uh-oh.
I did not feel that Cap going back and doing his little life thing conflicted with the actual established story. I assumed that he went back the way time travel is described to an alternate Peggy and lived out his life with alternate Peggy and then jumped back when she died, which we've seen as having happened a few years before the events of Endgame.
Or just had Sorcerer Supreme bump him over.
Sure.
Just
there
for
are
that
so
last
many.
bit. Yeah.
There are so many explanations for how he could be there that don't like, how did he grow old? We already know our Peggy got married to a different guy he saved in the war and had several children. Did he unexist the children? No, it's a different Peggy, y'all fuckers. Yeah. Leave it alone.
No, I'm in the same boat as you on that one.
Yeah, so I liked that a lot. That made me happy, obviously.
So, we talked about Stark and we talked about Rogers. But I'm just going to go out there and say it. My favorite characters were Professor Hulk and the dude Thor.
Yes.
They were
so much fun.
They were... I'm so glad they brought in Professor Hulk.
Yeah, me too.
Like, he's one of my favorite characters in the comics. Because he's Banner,
he's
but...
the best.
Yeah.
He's the best of both worlds.
And just the scene in New York where it's like, looks like you're going to have to smash. And it's like,
yeah. I loved self-aware Hulk. It's the best because it is so relatable in such a blown-out way. Like, can you imagine having to go and act like you did 5 or 6, 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Be like, oh my God, I hate this guy. This is the dumbest shit.
The scene in the diner where Ant-Man's just like, this is so weird. And it's like, I know! I'm wearing a shirt! How weird is that?
Yep. The dad joke Hulk.
My brother mentions, like, the whole scene in the diner with Professor Hulk with the kids. He's like, I'm pretty sure that's how Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson feels 100% of the time.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole scene when they go to meet Thor, and it's just playing that chipper music, and the truck is just dragging on the ground because